So let's talk about Checkmate. Checkmate is a fantastic map for Cold War League play. It's got all three game modes on. That's Search and Destroy, Control, and Hardpoint are all included on this map. So it's going to be a very important map to cover. And this video is going to be a guide on the best ways that you can instantly improve your gameplay on this map. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Invin. Today I am going to be bringing you guys a video guide on how you can instantly improve your gameplay on the Checkmate map. If you do go on to enjoy this video, make sure you leave a like down below as it significantly helps out my videos. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you drop that subscribe as we're pushing for that 300 subs, so your support will be much appreciated. So let's jump straight into today's video. So we're going to be talking about Checkmate, we're going to be talking about each of the different modes, and we're also going to be talking about the top tips which are going to allow you to see the most improvements as quickly as possible and also get that all important rank up as quickly as you can. Now the first thing to note about this map, which you see a lot of players not doing, is utilizing the mid-map control. The middle of this map is going to be one of the most important positions to control for any of the game modes. This is S&D, Control, and Hardpoint, as this is going to be one of the power positions where you're able to pick off a lot of players very easily and get those kill streaks going to get that KD up for your rank up and that SPM up very nicely, which is going to be fantastic. One thing to note on this map is score streaks are pretty rubbish. They don't work that well because of the roof, but if you learn where the windows are, you can get still a few kills with it, so it's definitely worth going for. And obviously for the score per minute from the kill streaks and the score streaks, it is definitely worth going for regardless to get your rank up in league play. You're going to be wanting to utilize the top of the plane position, playing for those wing picks and playing underneath the middle of the plane as well, because this is going to be one of the darkest locations on the map, which means it's very difficult to hit enemies and see enemies which are under here, unless of course you're on top of the yellow barrels, in which case it's going to be a little bit easier to see you. But if you play a little bit further back, you're going to notice enemies are harder to see under there, which in turn means that you're going to be more difficult to see under there. This is specifically important for Hardpoint, for the P3 rotation, because this is where the Hardpoint actually spawns. So you're going to want to make sure that you've set up for this one very nicely with at least 2 players on the point first, because it's going to be one of the harder points to break, albeit it's much more open with lots more entrances to that site, because players are harder to spot underneath there at times, especially with some of the skins in the game. It's going to be much more beneficial to your team if you already have that hardpoint off the bat and at least get a few points on there and quite a bit of the time already down, so that if the enemies do manage to take the site, you don't necessarily have to retake before the next one comes along and don't lose too many points from it. Another hugely important feature about this map is the spawns. Now obviously on S&D this is less relevant, but for both Control and Hardpoint the spawns are going to be essential things to play. Control, the spawn points do not move. They are at one end of the map per round and they stick there. This does mean that you can get into the spawn and spawn trap very nicely, because there is a lot of nice head glitches. But conversely, if you are getting spawn trapped, there's also a lot of nice head glitches that you can spawn next to, which are going to give you fantastic cover in order to kill the enemies that are pinning you in and push out of those spawns. For example, you might want to kill the enemy on the left hand side, have all your team push around, flank any remaining spawn trappers, and then push for the objective. Now, when you are spawn trapping yourself, use the obstacles and the head glitches to your advantage. Keep cover as much as you can at all times. Pick the enemies off, but don't be afraid to rotate back to that mid-map position if you are getting overwhelmed and if they are understanding where you are, because this is one, going to throw them off, but 2, going to give you the ability to stay alive, keep that kill streak going, which is really important for that SPM, because it hugely increases it, which is fantastic, and that is going to get you that rank up quicker. Another thing to note about the spawns is on Hardpoint, they can still spawn in the same place while you're spawn trapping, but they may spawn in the same area just further behind you. So in other words, if you're spawn trapping, you can get enemies spawning behind you on the same side of the map. Now this can be particularly difficult because it means they can turn around and kill you very easily if they know where you are, particularly if you've killed them once or twice already off their spawn. They're going to turn around, and it is slightly less useful than it is in Control, because obviously you don't have the tickets there to wear down the enemy team's life and get the win from that. However, it is still very good to get the kills when the enemies spawn in, because it gets them off the rotation. They're not going to be close to the hard point, which is going to mean you're on top of the game and your team can hold the time for as long as possible on those hills. On S&D, you're going to want to make sure you utilize the spots on the map. So for example, behind the chairs when you go up the stairs from the defense side of S&D into the plane, you can hide where the ladder door is, just on your right hand side. Behind those chairs with the sniper or an AR is an excellent spot to pick people off, as many enemies will push straight down that corridor in hopes of an early B plant, and you can cut this off very nicely, as well as holding down a power position for the entire map if they do decide to push that at a later point. A way to challenge this is by challenging Office with a sniper or AR again when you spawn on the opposite side of the map, and making sure that you jiggle peek that doorway, as you are going to be able to see them just as easily as they can see you and get the kill very nicely. This is particularly good if you're sniping, as you'll see from some of the gameplay. You can pop out, get that kill on the head glitch on the chairs there, and then move back into cover very nicely, just in case someone decides they're going to challenge you from one of the wings, which is highly likely on S&D. Another huge tip for Hardpoint is make sure you get the right spawns in the right place, as this is going to allow your team to get a ton of points very, very quickly. And when you respawn in the right place, if the enemies do manage to take it, you're going to be able to retake very, very easily as well, which is going to be very, very nice. One way to do this is by having someone slay in the mid-map area, one person hold at the very back of where you want your team to spawn, another person slaying near that spawn zone to make sure that nobody comes around the back there, and then the other player, or two players if you don't want a second slayer, on the hill, capping the time and making sure that you're always orientated towards getting those points under your loot, which is going to be really, really helpful. You're also going to want to make sure you note down which of the hardpoint rotations are the hardest to break. Now this is going to be P5, which is outside of wood. This is a very difficult one to take, particularly if they've got the spawn point for it, and also P2. P2 is the other hardest one because it's right next to the opposite spawn point on the opposite side of the map, and both times if the enemy team or your team has this point, you're probably going to be able to keep it for the majority of the map, so you're going to want to flank around if you are attacking this. Flank around for the spawn point before going for the hardpoint objective, as this is going to massively benefit your team, and it's going to be honestly much more worth your time pushing for that spawn position and getting the rest of your team in that area as well, rather than solo pushing the objective point. Control is very, very interesting because it's got one mid-map site on B there, and it's got a flank down the side on A. If you're pushing the A objective, make sure you utilize the mid-hill position. You can play from the wing or play from underneath of middle, regardless of whether you've capped B or not, and this is going to be a great crossfire position to cover not only the charge from the enemy spawn onto defending that site, but also if enemies decide to push up their spawn to long, you're going to be able to catch them off guard with the crossfire, enable your team that are playing the objective to stick on that point and cap it very, very quickly whilst not getting shot in the back, which is going to be very, very helpful for both you and your team. You can stay on a good kill streak, they can cap the objective, and it's job done. If you are on the objective yourself, make sure that you're positioning yourselves in areas where you can only be shot from two angles, because there's a lot of nice right angle cover positions here, which is going to be fantastic to make sure that you can only be shot from one or two directions, and that's going to be super useful in this mode. On the B objective, obviously it's a little bit more open. My best advice for this one is to get 3 or 4 players and just flood the objective. Play for a pick, preferably 2 or 3 picks. If you can get them, make sure you get those kills, hop on together, and then if someone does try and challenge you there, you should be able to, between 3 or 4 of you, get that final kill, reset the enemies, and flood that objective as quickly as you can. One nice spot on this point is to sit in front of the wooden pallet towards the enemy spawn, as this is going to catch them off guard. Obviously a crossfire there, but not only that, you're going to be able to hide on the objective if they do push from on the middle and potentially kill that enemy, trade off for a team member, and make sure that you continue capping that objective, which is going to be really, really useful. Another great thing to note is on S&D there is plenty of ways to play quickly if you don't like to camp back too much. Some players prefer to play more relaxed, some people like to play more aggressive. If you are a more aggressive player, you can charge straight up the sides, straight up the middle, and get to the enemies very, very quickly. One of my best advice to do here is either aggressively sniping the plane, like you see me doing on a few of the clips. I've gotten really good at that, and once you learn it, it's really, really fun to get those picks. But if you're not comfortable with doing that, there's plenty of lanes to snipe with, which is really, really nice. Both sides of the map have an equally good lane where you can snipe people very, very nicely from a ton of obstacles, and it's going to be quite a fun sniper battle. But you've also got the opportunity where you can rush with an AR or an SMG straight onto the mid-map, and you're going to be able to crossfire both sides of the spawn, as well as underneath the mid from the enemy team pushing, which is going to give you huge map coverage and help your team out immensely. The only problem is people can be above you, but if you've got a team member holding that as well, you should be pretty nice for the rest of the game, and you're going to be able to sit there, pick players off, and get a huge advantage throughout the entire map by holding that mid-power position. Now, obviously, for anybody wondering how you rank up quickly as well, just by using this map, it's kill streaks. Again, as always, kill streaks are going to get you the most SPM and the best KD increaser, as well as obviously winning you the game there when you're up on kills for both S&D and Control, and obviously up on score, hardpoint time, even kills and stuff on the hardpoint mode there, as that's going to really help your team to successfully capture the time that they need to win. And all of these modes obviously are going to get your win-loss ratio up if you do win them, so it's going to be really, really useful to just make sure that you go on as much of a kill streak as you possibly can each life that you've got. Get score streaks in if you can. As I said, they're not the most useful thing on here, but the cluster missile is significantly better than the artillery strike. You can usually get 2 or 3 enemies with that one, which is really nice, particularly on S&D. If you can manage to get it, it's pretty much a guaranteed round. And in order to get the fastest rank up in league play, you're going to be wanting to get as high a SPM as possible, so just play for the kills, utilize that mid-power position, utilize the flanks, and just make sure you keep aware of your surroundings, particularly in hardpoint for the spawns. And hopefully this video has helped you out. If it has, make sure you leave a like down below, and let me know in the comments which map is currently your favourite in league play, particularly with the new additions of Apocalypse and of Express. Which one are you most enjoying at the moment out of the new 2, and which one is your favourite overall? Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button as we're pushing for 300, so it'd be much appreciated. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and peace.